employment opportunities with housing opportunities. So as we look at that and as we move forward, some of the current activities are continuing with the New Starts funding, which is the federal program for mass transit. There's some alignment refinement. We've been working with the Maryland Transit Authority for over a year as we've been working with the Chevy Chase Land Company. As I was saying, is that we've been working with the Maryland Transit Authority on our station design. You may know that the Purple Line station at Connecticut Avenue is elevated, which creates some interesting opportunities as well as some interesting conflicts, but that's been decided and that's the way we're going. And so we've been working with them, and they're working not only on that station but all the station alignments as we go along. And they're also coordinating with municipalities and the State Highway Administration. Next steps are going to be move forward with that, to continue to work with the community. The sector plan is a part of that. The Maryland Transit Authority is working with and will be working with us and the county to work on this sector plan and see how it integrates into the Purple Line so that we get the benefits of access to the Purple Line station as we see it. Not only the station itself, but with the trail coordination and the hiker and biker kind of stuff that goes on related to that. The schedule as we see it right now is that we will work through 2011 on a lot of the design and engineering and related to that and coordinate with them, that we will work on environmental issues. We'll begin to look at some final engineering in 2013 and design in 2013, and then the Purple Line will begin construction in 2014. We believe that the sector plan will move along in a similar, maybe slightly faster pace. And the Chevy Chase Land Company wants to be able to be responsive to those initial phases of construction. As you can see here, hopefully well, there's a purple and red and yellow dots, and that represents each metro station within the area. And the Purple Line is going to connect an arc across the top of that, as you can see, and the star is the Chevy Chase sector plan. The yellow dots represent residentially dominant opportunities at transit areas, and those are active residentially dominant transit stations within our metro system. The red dots are more of a balanced station, so the red means that there's an equal balance of residential and employment opportunities each one of those stations. And then the purple dots are employment opportunity stations. So you see a lot of employment dots downtown. The other thing that this diagram points to is that the Center for Transit-Oriented Development is using this to measure how you can get vehicular miles traveled off the road. And the better performing a transit-oriented development is, and a station is, and its access to the community, the more vehicles it's going to take off the road. So in this case, we want to move towards the lighter dots. So as you can see, except for downtown, we're pretty much in the medium area throughout the Washington system. And I think that's a measure of kind of where we are today. We've got a good axial kind of metro system, but we need to have something that connects the spiderweb together, which moves east-west. And I think, you know, we've all read enough to know that that's kind of the broken part of our system. So once again, we believe that the Purple Line plays into that, and quite frankly, what we're beginning to surmise is that the Chevy Chase Lake sector plan and our development needs to be a residentially dominant plan. So where does this begin to take us? Well, if you look at all of this and you look at the role that we're going to play regionally in the sector plan and in this station here, you know, we're pretty much halfway between Bethesda and Silver Spring. The outer edges of these circles, well, each one of these sets of circles represents a walking pattern around each station, both the red existing metro stations and the purple proposed stations. You could have an incredible transit-oriented, walkable community and maintain the existing residential subdivisions that you have, create community-serving retail where it's appropriate, and then also create employment opportunities so people can live in a variety of densities and a variety of incomes and types of residential products that make the whole community integrated and well served. And people can begin to get out of their cars. So really what we want to do is we want to become a part of the network within the sector plan, which is right here. Okay? So what does that mean? All right, I've talked a lot, and I'm going to go through these principles. You know, to me, transit-oriented development principles means creating a pedestrian-friendly environment, high-quality public spaces, It gives people the opportunities to get out of their car. That doesn't mean that you totally abandon the car, but it does give people an opportunity to get out of their car, walk, ride bikes, take the light rail, take the metro, take a bus, and a variety of choices from that perspective. It ought to provide passive spaces. I get really tired. I'm kind of an introvert in some respects, and I get tired of being in active spaces all the time. It kind of wears me out. So to be able to create some reflective kind of spaces that are in combination with the active spaces we think is important. Not everywhere can be the center of retail and entertainment. Some places have to be nice and residential and neighborly-like. The other idea is that we need to begin to develop a street grid where we have these things, and we need to integrate and be compatible with the neighboring community. Here's a single-family neighborhood right adjacent to a mixed-use development and kind of the downtown core. Well, 1 block away, single-family. Over here is a railroad, and there's other kinds of things. But it's an integrated environment, and people have choices about ways to move so that no one street bears the burden of all the traffic. We do need to have event space where we can have trail activities, maybe a bike marathon along the trail and related areas, or even a place where we can just celebrate public art on the sidewalk and those kind of things. Those places need to be for adults as well as families and children, and so we believe that there ought to be a place in Chevy Chase that really promotes family living so that we can get young people moving back to the more central city urban areas from that perspective. And so finally, we get to the point of where is Chevy Chase today? We've got the purple line coming through in combination with the existing trail. We have the outline of the sector plan, which is about 380 acres, okay? Within that, there's about 1,200 residential units, either single-family or multifamily. And there's probably a little over 400,000 square feet of commercial-oriented and institutional-type development from that standpoint. This is the land that the land company owns along with the Housing Opportunities Commission. That comprises the actual developable land that they have. And so we're really looking at how do we begin to look at that, and how do we begin to connect the neighborhood. While we have great established residential neighborhoods, they're not hooked together very well. You all probably, even to go to the grocery store, have to get in your car and drive around, get on Connecticut Avenue and go back into, or get on Jones Bridge and go back into the Chevy Chase Lake retail area. And so what we want to try to do is begin to connect that together. Interestingly enough, back when the neighborhoods were built, there were easements and right-of-ways that were established at ends of streets and between certain properties to offer those connections. And what we've begun to show here are all of the connection easement opportunities either between neighborhoods or from neighborhoods at ends of streets, from neighborhoods into the natural woodland area. And we're also beginning to show how we might take the trail, which is very divisive right now because there's a fence on either side of it. Unless you back up to the trail with your house and have a gate at the back of your lot, you can only get onto the trail in very limited areas at roads and those kind of things. So what we want to do, at least at the station area, taking advantage of the integration of the purple line and the trail and all that with the surrounding community, is begin to build a pattern of blocks that are interconnected across that trail and can really begin to create opportunities to pass along through that. With that, what happens is that we greatly increase the walkability of the area. I'm going to call this a splash pattern. If I didn't have all of these arrows as connectivity opportunities, about the only way you could walk in this community is up and down the trail and up and down Connecticut Avenue. You really couldn't get out of these neighborhoods walking over to the station or over to the area within a reasonable length of time. But what this is that this becomes a 10-minute walk from the station to the outer areas that you see right here. So you can begin to see that if you have connections that you can make into these communities, you can walk a lot further, and you actually can get out of your neighborhood when you begin to walk to or from what will be the destination, which is the Purple Line station. So think about it as we move through the rest of the presentation as to creating a more connected community, whether it's by pedestrian, by bike, by mass transit, or even by automobile. It will give opportunities to redirect traffic as well as begin to redirect and open up opportunities to walk and to bike. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Marty. Wells, we value walkability, and we're going to do it with density, with transit, and connectivity. And Marty's going to kind of explain a few of the transit issues. Marty, I'll leave you with that.
Thank you, David. My name is Marty Wells. I'm president of Wells and Associates. We are transportation planners and traffic engineers. As David Smith mentioned at the very beginning, we've been working on this plan for about a year. We've also worked in Montgomery County on transit-oriented development projects in downtown Bethesda, downtown Silver Spring, Friendship Heights, at Twin Brook, Shady Grove, Grosvenor, and White Flint. In the past 20 years, we've also worked on several transit-oriented developments in the District of Columbia as well as Northern Virginia, including Metro's planned new Silver Line in Tyson's Corner. Pardon my use of that swear word. As David has mentioned, transportation is a central theme of this project. Admittedly, we face transportation problems that are regional in nature and along Connecticut Avenue. This is well known in the community. The Purple Line and transit-oriented development at Chevy Chase Lake, we believe, are parts of the solutions to this regional transportation problem. At least 90% of the traffic on Connecticut Avenue are through trips that don't stop within the sector. Only 10% of the trips are local trips. It's these through trips that account for the congestion that we see each weekday on Connecticut Avenue. Development outside of the Metro and Purple Line corridors will only add to this through traffic congestion problem. Transit-oriented development at Chevy Chase Lake would direct traffic to the planned new Purple Line station, not to Connecticut Avenue. The Maryland Transit Administration initially planned feeder bus stops on Connecticut Avenue as shown in the right side of this image, which David is pointing to. Buses would stop along the major flow of traffic on both sides of Connecticut Avenue, and this could have been a major traffic operations problem. The land company proposes to develop a fine-grained, connected, local street network, shown in the gray color here, which would take buses off of Connecticut Avenue and avoid this potential operational problem. Feeder buses could use these local streets to safely drop off and pick up passengers immediately adjacent to the Purple Line station, so the passengers would not have to cross any busy streets. Looking at the image on the left side of the screen, the southbound through buses could turn left at the signal on Manor Road, then turn right onto a new local street, turn right again onto Chevy Chase Lake Drive, and then turn left at the signal onto Connecticut Avenue. And in the process of making that movement, they would travel immediately adjacent to the Purple Line station where they could drop off and pick up passengers. Those passengers would not have to cross Connecticut Avenue. In the northbound direction, shown in the green color, through buses would turn right onto a new main street, which will be described in some detail by Trini. Drop off and pick up passengers at a residentially dominant mixed-use program could capture many of the trips generated by these uses internal to the site because it will be possible to live, work, and shop here. That could account for up to a third of all trips, up to a half of all residential trips, and perhaps as much as 40% of the commercial peak hour trips could be made by transit. A transportation demand management